Keep this in mind. Driving is an extremely complicated task that involves many decisions every minute. It's not just steering. Your brain is constantly judging distances, adjusting speed, scanning the sides of the road, checking mirrors, distinguishing sounds, reading signs, noting conditions, and planning your route. Not to mention composing that sociology paper that's due tomorrow. Too much alcohol interferes with the brain's incredible ability to divide your attention, so you can miss important stuff, like stop signs or pedestrians. Now age. How old are you? Be honest, or I might have to card you.
It's time for Norm's 20 Questions. It's time to play Norm's 20 Questions. Let's play Norm's 20 Questions. Now, back to Norm. Back to you, Norm. Here's Norm. Here's Normie. It's Norm time. Take it, Norm.
What about a drinking plan? Do you plan on drinking? Do you plan on getting wasted? Now, before we go, I need to know your game plan for this party. Like, how do you plan on getting there? Because after that music selection, you won't be riding with me. Are you hungry? Is your tummy full? Just what have you eaten? How are you feeling? I meant to ask earlier, but it slipped my mind. Pick as many as apply. And since when is ready to party considered a feeling? Okay, let's see how good you are at estimating blood alcohol content. Dan's had 2 beers in the last 45 minutes. What's his BAC? Remember, he weighs in at 275 pounds. When you're ready for the answer, click on the TV screen. Dave's had 2 rum and cokes. He's had about the same amount of alcohol as Dan, but at 170 pounds, he's over 100 pounds lighter. What's his BAC? Click the screen for the answer. Carolina's had 2 glasses of wine, which contained about the same amount of alcohol as Dan's and Dave's 2 drinks. She weighs 100 pounds. Take a guess at her BAC. You know the drill. Click the screen. Apparently, we have a height requirement for our CD-ROM, like it's a roller coaster or something. So how tall or short are you? Move left or right by clicking once on the arrows in the bottom corners. To discover hotspots, roll your cursor around the screen. When an item highlights, click once. You can also click on the moving icons as they float across the screen. To enter the virtual bar, click once on the bar area. To see an interactive video, click one of those moving guys with the obnoxious orange shirts. He'll tell you about himself. Then you can hear the other character's introduction, or you can start the interactive story. On-screen instructions will guide you. Once you've viewed a branch of the video, you can click Go Back to try another path. If you're using a fast computer, try clicking on the video as it's playing. It will expand to full screen. Click again to reduce the size. You can return to the party anytime by clicking the button on the bottom right. The map button in the lower left takes you to a navigation area that lets you see everything that's happening at the party. You can jump anywhere from there. You can leave the party by clicking on the exit signs. Move left or right by clicking once on the arrows in the bottom corners. To discover hotspots, roll your cursor around the screen. When an item highlights, click once. You can also click on the moving icons as they float across the screen. To see interactive videos, click on the couples who are moving. They'll tell you about themselves. Then you can hear the other characters' introductions, or you can start the interactive story. On-screen instructions will guide you. Once you've viewed a branch of the videos, you can click Go Back to try another path. If you're using a fast computer, try clicking on the video as it's playing. It will expand to full screen. Click again to reduce the size. The map button in the lower left takes you to a navigation area that lets you see everything that's happening at the party. You can jump anywhere from there. You can leave the party by clicking on the exit signs. Move left or right by clicking once on the arrows in the bottom corners. To discover hotspots, roll your cursor around the screen. When an item highlights, click once. You can also click on the moving icons as they float across the screen. Click on the TV set to see an interactive video. If you're using a fast computer, try clicking on the video as it's playing. It will expand to full screen. Click again to reduce the size. You can click on the steering wheel at the bottom of the screen to get some info about drunk driving. The button in the far right corner takes you back to the party. The map button in the lower left takes you to a navigation area that lets you see everything that's happening at the party. You can jump anywhere from there. You can leave the party by clicking on the exit signs. Move left or right by clicking once on the arrows in the bottom corners. To discover hotspots, roll your cursor around the screen. When an item highlights, click once. You can also click on the moving icons as they float across the screen. Click on the headlines to view some videos. We call this the reality wall. These stories are all based on actual events. If you're using a fast computer, try clicking on the video as it's playing. It will expand to full screen. Click again to reduce the size. To enter the rave room, click once on the door. Once you're inside, click on anything that moves. Keep clicking on things. There's lots to see in there. Try clicking on the same object again and again. There are over 70 hidden messages. Happy hunting! The map button in the lower left takes you to a navigation area that lets you see everything that's happening at the party. You can jump anywhere from there. You can leave the party by clicking on the exit signs.
30 seconds and counting, people.
All right, Norm, remember, hip, fun, edgy.
Okay, I really need you to go now.
The audience must completely relate to your character.
Well, maybe you should have hired Pauly Shore.
Nonsense. Can we afford Shore?
Unfortunately not.
Besides, thank Dennis Miller.
Or Dennis Leary.
Perfect. Can we afford him?
Look, this really isn't helping.
15 seconds and counting.
I've got it. Have you ever played You Don't Know Jack?
Fabulous.
You don't know who?
We need a You Don't Know Jack kind of attitude.
But I don't...
And another thing, the Brady Bunch.
2,
Whatever.
1, and you're on.
Drinking under the age of 21 is governed by your state's minimum age laws regarding purchase, possession, and consumption of alcohol. Your university will also have its own alcohol-related policies regarding violations of minimum age laws. You should be aware of existing laws and regulations and understand the fiscal and academic consequences related to violations.
When you're drunk, your eyes don't focus properly and depth perception is impaired, so other cars can appear further away than they really are. Pupils respond more slowly to light, so headlights can blind you more easily. Peripheral and night vision are reduced. The problem isn't just physical, that your foot takes longer to reach the brake and your control over the car is diminished. It's that your brain takes longer to figure out you need to brake in the first place. And that time, coupled with reduced capacity to react, can result in a DUI, or worse, a terrible crash. Thank you, Connie. I haven't had that much fun since Price Waterhouse told me how they tabulate Academy Award votes. All right, Groove Meister, what kind of music are you into? Sorry, but disco isn't an option. Club music really depends upon the club. We get ours from a Holiday Inn piano bar, so you know it's on the cutting edge of the techno-industrial revolution. Yeehaw! I guess that means we'll be going to a pig picking. Ooh, rock and roller. Please, try not to scratch the screen with your nose ring. Okay, City Slicker, I guess we'll just ignore that happening rural and suburban music scene. What is BAC, or back? The opposite of front? Pick this and I'll arrange a spelling bee with Dan Quayle. Batman and Carl. That was before he met Robin. They were the lethargic duo. Short for blood alcohol concentration. A measurement that tells you and interested police officers just how much alcohol is present in your blood. BAC is an acronym for blood alcohol concentration. BAC reflects the percentage of alcohol present in your bloodstream, or in extreme cases, the percentage of blood in your alcohol stream. BAC is usually measured by police officers to determine whether you're legally drunk. It can be measured directly from a blood sample, from a breath sample collected by a breathalyzer, my personal favorite, or by a smaller device called an alco sensor. At a BAC of 0.08, you would be considered legally drunk in more than a dozen states. At 0.10, you would be considered legally drunk in the rest. In layman's terms, 0.10 is the equivalent of 1 part alcohol for every 1,000 parts blood. That's just 1 penny out of $10. And remember, unless you're some kind of oxymoron, you know that being a legally drunk driver is actually illegal. Suppose you're partying with James Madison and William Howard Taft, my favorite dead presidents other than Cash. Madison weighed less than 100 pounds, while Taft tipped the scales at over 300 pounds. Assuming everybody drinks martinis at the same pace, you heard me, martinis. These are presidents, not your frat buddies. Which president will get trashed the quickest and why? Is it A, neither, since both are dead? If dead men don't tell tales, a case can be made that they don't drink martinis either. but boy can they guzzle that embalming fluid. B. Madison, because he weighs less than Taft. Jimmy could have used a few good meals between Federalist Papers. Maybe Dolly wasn't a very good cook after all. C. Taft, because his body weight is mostly fat. Hey Bill, I know they didn't have Jenny Craig in 1909, but what about a salad bar? D. Neither, since both will get drunk at exactly the same time. And if Madison starts taunting Taft with, "Your presidency sucked," get Jimmy out of there before Big Bill sits on him. Taft should be able to drink Madison under the table because of his enormous body weight. Remember, a given amount of alcohol will produce different blood alcohol concentrations in different people depending on certain variables. One of the key variables is body weight. That's because alcohol, which is highly soluble in water, becomes evenly distributed throughout the fluid content of all body tissues and cells. So the more fluid and mass you've got in your body, the more diluted the alcohol will be circulating in your bloodstream. The fact is, the same amount of alcohol will cause a higher BAC in a 100-pound president than in a 300-pound president. And the same applies to us regular folk. I guess that explains the old adage, never drink hot sake with a sumo wrestler. You probably know that food in your stomach affects your response to alcohol. So, Mr. Big Shot Smarty Pants Know-It-All, tell me this. On which of the following traditional holidays would you be most susceptible to getting drunk? A. On Thanksgiving, after stuffing your face with turkey. B. On Christmas, after stuffing your face with ham. C. On William Howard Taft's birthday, after stuffing your face with everything in sight. D. On Yom Kippur, after fasting all day and atoning for your sins. You're most susceptible to getting trashed after fasting on Yom Kippur. And who couldn't use a stiff drink after a hard day of atonement? Because food delays alcohol's passage into the small intestine, alcohol is absorbed more slowly when there's food in the stomach. Any kind of food will slow absorption, but substantial food like pizza or a quarter pounder will be more effective than things like salad or beer nuts. Compared to drinking on an empty stomach, drinking after a full meal can reduce the peak alcohol level in your blood by about 1/3. For some people more, for some less. Just remember two things. Jell-O shots are not one of the main food groups. And if you drink enough, you'll get drunk, no matter how much you've stuffed your face. Okay, your category is orgasms and BAC. True or false? Men reach orgasm in a higher blood alcohol concentration faster than women. A. True, because men rule. That should screen out the Neanderthals and fraternity types. B. True, but women can have multiple BACs, especially if they use an electric breathalyzer, if you know what I mean. C. False, but men can generally reach orgasm faster. Woo! Especially if we're by ourselves. D. False, because in a mutually loving relationship between two equals, both the man and the woman will reach orgasm in a high BAC at the same exact time. And if you believe that, I'm from Mars and women are from Venus. Be careful, ladies. Women will reach a higher BAC faster than men due to their body composition. The fairer sex generally have a higher proportion of body fat and lower amounts of body water than men. So since a woman has less water to dilute alcohol, a given amount of alcohol will be more concentrated in her blood than in a man's of equal weight. But don't hang your heads, fellas. We can still reach orgasm faster. Woo! Imagine you're drunk. Don't you hate these far-fetched hypothetical questions? What's the best way to sober up? Hot coffee, cold shower, hot coffee in a cold shower, cold coffee in a hot shower. Watch all 5 Rocky movies. I'm still waiting for Rocky 6, where he fights the heavyweight champion from another galaxy. Sobering up, in spite of all the supposed remedies and concoctions, is a matter of time. And watching all 5 Rocky movies will definitely pass the hours. Of course, you might get sick of hearing, "Yo, Adrian." Coffee, exercise, and a cold shower will only make you alert, cold, and wet, but you'd still be drunk. That's because the rate at which alcohol is metabolized by your body is essentially constant. The liver can metabolize about half an ounce of pure ethyl alcohol per hour, which is about the same as 1 drink per hour. Because of age, health, tolerance, and other variables, the time it takes to sober up may vary slightly between people. But the bottom line is, there's no way to sober up quickly. In drinking terms, what is meant by tolerance? Is it A, the body's adaptation to the effect of alcohol? B, the body's ability to tolerate your drunk friend's stupid behavior? Hey, pull my finger. C, tolerance for another's beliefs and practices regardless of whether they drink Coke or Pepsi. These cola wars must stop. Can't we all just get along? Long-term heavy drinking can result in the development of tolerance, which is the body's adaptation to the presence of alcohol. As tolerance develops, the drinker requires increasing amounts of alcohol to feel the same effect. In our society, people are often admired for their ability to hold their drinks. But the fact is, tolerance may be an early warning sign that you or a friend is developing a physical dependence on alcohol. Nothing funny about that. If you have a friend who seems out of control, drinking every night, drinking before exams, drinking alone, be a good friend and get him or her some help. Which organ is primarily responsible for metabolizing alcohol? A, metabolizing schmetabolizing. Who am I, Spock? B, the organ at church. Maybe that's why attendance is down. C, the love organ. That's all I can say. After all, this is a family show. D, the liver. Yum. This tasty organ was favored by Hannibal Lecter with fava beans and a nice Chianti. The liver, nutritious, delicious, and primarily responsible for metabolizing alcohol in the body. Some alcohol, about 15 to 20%, is metabolized or digested in the stomach. Very little, less than 5%, is removed from the body in your breath, sweat, urine, or feces. But the majority, 75 to 80%, is metabolized or burned off in the liver. The alcohol you consume is metabolized by the liver at a rate of 1/2 ounce pure ethyl alcohol per hour. That's about 1 drink. Guess what happens if the rate at which alcohol gets absorbed into your bloodstream exceeds the rate at which it is processed out by the liver? You've lost that sober feeling. Whoa, that's so... Okay, sorry. You're impaired. So until the liver has had enough time to work, alcohol continues to circulate throughout your body, including the organ most affected by alcohol, your brain. Remember, this is your brain. 2 + 2 = 4. This is your brain on alcohol. Party! Any questions? Okay, this one's for the women. Which of the following factors should not be considered by a woman before she drinks? A, whether it's that time of the month, and I'm not talking about paying your bills here. B, whether she's on the pill, and I don't mean Flintstones vitamins either. C, whether she's over the hill, and I'm not talking about the Catskills. D, whether she eats like a bird, and here I mean a big bird like an ostrich or a pterodactyl or big bird. Age is not a factor to be considered. On the other hand, whether you're an eating, menstruating woman on birth control pills will affect alcohol metabolism. Not only are women generally more susceptible to alcohol's effects than men, but there is evidence that the menstrual cycle plays a role in alcohol metabolism. Alcohol tends to be broken down slowest right before the menstrual period, making a woman likely to be more affected by a drink at that time. Also, women taking birth control pills or medications containing estrogen may remain intoxicated longer due to the liver's function of metabolizing both alcohol and estrogen. Food, on the other hand, slows the rate at which alcohol is absorbed into the bloodstream, whether you're a man or a woman. You become intoxicated faster on an empty stomach. So if you're a hungry woman about to have your period or taking birth control pills, be extra careful about alcohol. And if you're a guy about to have your period or taking birth control pills, we need to talk. Now suppose you're partying with some of my favorite superheroes, Batman, Wonder Woman, Superman, and the Flash. You're all doing tequila shots, licking salt, swallowing tequila, sucking lime. Over the next hour, the Flash does 6,000 tequila shots, Superman 600, Wonder Woman, 60, and Batman, 6. Which superhero will get trashed quickest and why? The Flash, because drinking speed is directly proportionate to your level of impairment. Superman, because salt contains traces of kryptonite. Batman, because he has no special powers. Come on, Bruce Wayne is just like you or me. He just owns a fancy bat suit and wheels. Wonder Woman, because female superheroes have lower tolerance than male superheroes. Which reminds me, what's the use of having an invisible plane if everyone can see you? Is that fooling any comic book villains? After 6,000 tequila shots in an hour, the Flash should definitely not drink and run. You see, the faster you drink, the faster alcohol is absorbed into the bloodstream and the greater your impairment. That's because the liver can only metabolize about 1/2 ounce of pure ethyl alcohol per hour, which is about the amount contained in one drink. So if your drinking exceeds this speed, the excess alcohol will accumulate in your bloodstream until causing intoxication. And now, another word from our lawyer.
Warning. The previous hypothetical involved fictional superheroes with superhuman powers. Please do not try to do 6,000 or even 6 tequila shots on your own without adult supervision and the requisite supernatural powers. Thank you.
Which of the following is most likely to cause a drinker to become nauseous? A. Shirley Temple. Isn't it time we update the name of that drink to someone more contemporary? One Macaulay Culkin, please. B. Harvey Wallbanger. I'm talking about the drink here, not the accountant from Teaneck, New Jersey. C. Clamato. If you like Clamato, you'll love some of the new seafood juices, like Scal Apple and Lobster Orange and Cran Shrimp, my personal favorite. D. Wheatgrass juice. I usually serve this with a bag of lawnmower clippings. Some stomach-turning choices, but for our purposes, Harvey Wallbanger, because it's the only drink that contains alcohol. The problem is that alcohol is an irritant as well as a sedative, and enough of it can irritate the lining of your stomach and produce nausea or vomiting, especially if your stomach is empty. Another problem is the pyloric valve, which, as you all remember from 11th grade biology class, regulates the passage of the stomach's contents into the small intestine. A large concentration of alcohol can cause the pyloric valve to spasm or get stuck in the closed position temporarily. This keeps the alcohol in the stomach, where it can cause nausea and vomiting. So remember, if you're going to a party on an empty stomach, don't forget the barf bags. Many people believe that drinking alcohol makes them sexier. Which of the following effects of getting drunk is an aphrodisiac that drives people wild? Slurred and rambling speech. Ah yes, my favorite pickup line is, where's that Beer to English dictionary when you need it? Extreme emotional outbursts. I can't decide which is a bigger turn on, sudden uncontrollable anger or sudden uncontrollable weeping. Drool from the mouth. Clean up in aisle 9, clean up in aisle 9. None of the above. If you pick any other answer, let's just say you have issues. None of the above. Sorry, but alcohol won't make you any sexier. Ordering a sex on the beach is no guarantee of the real thing. There's a big difference between being intoxicating and being intoxicated. Most people don't consider drool, bad breath, slurred speech, bloodshot eyes, emotional outbursts, obnoxious behavior, and possible sexual dysfunction a big turn-on. While a drink might make you feel more relaxed and less tense in social settings, alcohol is not an aphrodisiac or love potion. How attractive you are to the opposite sex is a matter of who you are, not how much you drink. You probably didn't know that your body is more susceptible to alcohol's effects in certain states. To help you remember those states, just think of the acronym HALT, or HALT. HALT means you should not drink in Hawaii, Alaska, Louisiana, or Texas. New York and California could also be included, but people aren't likely to remember LANCH. Not drink if you're hungry, angry, lonely, or tired, but you might want to try a little sex. That's sleeping, eating, calming down, and socializing. Not drink if you're hydrophobic, acrophobic, lactophobic, or triskaidekaphobic. Then again, if you're scared of water, heights, milk, and the number 13, maybe alcohol isn't your biggest problem. HALT stands for hungry, angry, lonely, and tired. Your body and mind are much more susceptible to alcohol's effects in those states. How much sleep or food you've had, your mood, your personality, even your desires and expectations about drinking may affect your ability to handle alcohol on a given night. If you are upset, stressed out, tired, hungry, or angry, alcohol will probably have a stronger effect than usual. Besides, alcohol won't solve your hunger, anger, loneliness, or fatigue. So until you feel better, halt. Time for another wacky hypothetical. Suppose you notice a friend drinking way too much at a party. I told you it was wacky. What is the most appropriate response? A. Grab a Jell-O shot and join the drunken revelry. B. Wait till they pass out, then call an ambulance. Word of advice here, if it's a true blue friend, don't wait till they're truly blue. C. Nothing, since how much they drink is their problem. I know, you've got problems of your own, like finding the right date. D. Be a friend and intervene. Duh. You don't have to be Einstein to know a pattern of heavy drinking may be a warning sign that something is wrong. But you should also know that drinking heavily and quickly can sometimes lead to a medical emergency called alcohol poisoning or overdose that may depend on your knowing what to do to save a friend's life. And if you have a girl or guy friend who seems out of control, drinking every night, drinking before exams, drinking alone, be a good friend and intervene. You might want to have a heart-to-heart, or you might need to get help from your friend's family, residence life staff, campus safety, or even a hospital. But not doing anything to help just isn't a real alternative. Don't let fear about how your friend may respond prevent you from acting and getting help when they need it. Your help is the greatest thing you could ever do in the name of friendship. True or false? The designated driver is the person who has the least amount to drink. A. True, also known as the last man standing test. B. False, but you can still be the designated backseat driver. Just sit back and criticize the real designated driver. False. The designated driver is not the least drunk person, but the person who has not had any drinks. So go with the designated driver who has chosen not to drink, and be the person who's the designated driver once in a while. It won't kill you, and it might just save a few lives. You may have heard of something called alcohol overdose. Your mission, should you decide to accept it, is to finish this sentence. Alcohol poisoning is a potentially fatal medical condition caused by A. Rapidly drinking large amounts of beer, wine, or spirits. B. Swilling your father's cologne. Obsession for men. Smells great, less filling. C. Sampling your mother's collection of baking extracts. I find the vanilla has a delightful bouquet. D. ODing on Ben & Jerry's rum raisin ice cream. Excuse me, do you sell that flavor in a 10-gallon steel drum? Drinking heavily and quickly can sometimes lead to a medical emergency called alcohol overdose or poisoning. Alcohol poisoning is very serious and can be fatal. So serious that I'm not even going to try and put it into words. I want you to see and experience firsthand what alcohol poisoning is all about. You need to be aware of the danger signs and to know how to handle this potentially life-threatening situation. So do me a favor. When you return to the party, take a look at the reality wall. Also, look for a guy passed out on a couch. Ask him about alcohol poisoning, if he can talk to you. Believe it or not all drink mixers are created equal. Some mixers will actually take alcohol into your bloodstream faster than others. Which of the following mixers will raise your BAC the quickest? A. Tomato juice. Gives that appetizing bloody effect to a Bloody Mary. How about some head cheese hors d'oeuvres to go with that? B. Clamato. For those who like their Bloody Marys with a touch of mollusk. C. Blood. Why settle for tomato juice when you can have the real thing? D. Seltzer. For those of you who didn't grow up in vaudeville or the Borscht Belt, seltzer is just a fun way of saying carbonated or sparkling water. Repeat after me. Seltzer. Fun, isn't it? Seltzer, seltzer, seltzer. Carbonated mixers like seltzer, tonic water, and soda will take alcohol into your blood faster, so you're going to raise your BAC more quickly. Ditto for carbonated drinks like champagne, beer, and wine spritzers. And here's a helpful hint from your Uncle Norm. Seltzer makes an excellent stain remover. If you've ever had too much to drink, you know that alcohol causes changes in brain and body function. Which of the following is true? A. Alcohol is a stimulant. Next time you have to stay up all night studying, forget no-dose and Jolt Cola. Try having a drink. B. Alcohol is a depressant. Riddle me this. What slows down bodily functions and depresses mood, but speeds up the number of times you have to go to the bathroom? C. Alcohol is an antidepressant. Perhaps, but you certainly don't see a lot of happy drunkards. Alcohol is a depressant, and in excessive amounts it will slow down many of the functions in your body and brain, except going to the bathroom. If you put too much alcohol into your system quickly, the alcohol may slow down many of the body's vital functions, such as heart rate and breathing. This slowdown can lead to loss of consciousness. In fact, the vital organs can even be slowed to such a degree as to stop. Think about that before your next game of quarters. Okay, word problem time. 3 trains leave for their destinations at midnight. The Silver Streak travels from New York to Atlanta at 100 miles per hour. The Chattanooga Choo Choo travels from Atlanta to Los Angeles at 200 miles per hour. Finally, the Midnight Express travels from Los Angeles to New York at 300 miles per hour. For purposes of this question, it is 1,000 miles between New York and Atlanta, 2,000 miles between Atlanta and Los Angeles, and 3,000 miles between Los Angeles and New York. Now you're ready for your question. Assuming you order a drink on one of these 3 trains, what type of alcohol will get you more tipsy and why? A. A shot of whiskey because it contains a higher concentration of alcohol. B. A nice glass of Chardonnay because 56 million Frenchmen can't be wrong. C. An ice-cold brew because it contains more alcohol than either a shot or a glass of wine. D. None of the above, since they all contain about the same amount of alcohol. A shot of spirits, better known as liquor, a glass of wine, and a can of beer all contain about the same amount of alcohol, and assuming you drink them in the same time period, all will have a similar effect, which is probably for you to belch the national anthem. But wait, there's more. Carbonated alcohol beverages like champagne or sparkling wines can cause intoxication faster than their non-carbonated brethren. Light beers have slightly lower alcohol content. Malt liquor and sweet wines have higher alcohol content than regular beer and dry wine. You need to know what you're drinking. A Long Island iced tea, for example, usually contains at least 2 shots of spirits, while grain punch at a party may have a higher proof alcohol. Your weight, gender, tolerance, and mood will also affect alcohol's effect on you. Bottom line is, if you choose to drink, you need to consider all these factors and be safe and responsible to yourself and others. If you are drinking heavily and you can't remember what you did the night before, it means A. You need to find more memorable nighttime activities. B. You passed out. C. You had a blackout. D. You had a lobotomy. Chances are you had a blackout. Too much alcohol can interfere with the chemical process in your brain that converts short-term memories into long-term memories. When this happens, you keep right on doing whatever you were doing before, dancing, getting up close and personal with that cute guy or gal, you name it. You just don't remember it the next day. So don't assume that just because you don't remember doing something, that automatically means you were unconscious. There's a good chance you actually did the things your friends are saying you did, and the information just never made it all the way to the long-term storage vault. If you drink enough for this to happen, slow down and think twice. You're putting yourself at risk. If you're driving under the influence of alcohol, which of the following tricks will help you avoid getting nailed for a DUI? A. Suck on a penny because that screws up the cop's breathalyzer. Also the best way of getting your daily requirement of copper. B. Keep a dozen donuts in your glove box. C. Roll down your windows and pump up the volume on your stereo because that will keep you alert. Possible side effects of this approach: hearing loss and a hairstyle like Don King. D. Repeat the following mantra over and over. Please don't pull me over. Please don't pull me over. Please don't pull me over. This one also works if you have some dead bodies in the trunk. E. All of the above. F. None of the above. None of the above. Sorry, Siegfried, but there's only one trick for avoiding a DUI, and that's not driving drunk. If you're over the legal limit, it's over. Besides, do you know where that penny's been? Before we go, I'm going to need a little personal 411 as an information please brainiac. Let's start with your name. Just type it in the space provided, first names only. You don't know my last name. I really don't care about yours. Just click the arrow when you're done. Great, under 21. What do you think this is, Milk and Cookies 101? Now I have to get our lawyer involved, Miss Connie Jockren Esquire. Connie? Okay, let's check out the party. Roll your cursor around to find out what's hot, then click. If you want to move left or right, click the arrows in the bottom corners. Pay close attention to the animated partiers. They're worth talking to. If you ever need help, click the help or map buttons in the bottom left. Okay, last thing. Are you interested in getting some feedback about your own drinking? Now tell your Uncle Norm, in a typical week, how many drinks do you have? Click on a day to select it. Keep clicking to raise the number. That's how much you drink. What do you think the average male or female college student drinks in a week? Click on the symbol to select it. Keep clicking to raise the number. By the way, the male has the arrow. Take a moment to look at these numbers. First, your own drinking. Do most students drink less than you? If so, maybe that's something to think about. Now, look at your estimates for the average male and female student. Remember those numbers, and then click on the arrow at the bottom of the screen to find the real deal. This screen provides national data on the number of drinks consumed by college students per week. The numbers in parentheses are cumulative. First, compare your estimates to these actual numbers for men and women. Did you overestimate the level of drinking by other students? Research shows a lot of students do. It may be your own friends drink a lot more than most students. If so, maybe that's something to think about too. Now, find yourself on the chart. Compare your level of drinking to others. Are you over the norm? If so, maybe you need to reflect on what you've learned in this program and whether you might want to make some changes in the future. Some norms are worth paying attention to, especially me. And now the moment you've all been waiting for. Sex. How frequently do you have it and where?
Norm!
Okay, wrong question. Are you male or female? Okay, let's see what we've got. This is you according to you. If you want to make a change, just click on the appropriate icon. I'll tell you my weight if you tell me yours. I weigh whatever a lava lamp with a hat and glasses weighs, I guess. Your turn. Welcome to the party. You can move 360 degrees around the party room, but we'll get to that in a minute. First things first, let's get a drink. Oh, by the way, if you ever want to shut me up, it'll cost you. Just click anywhere on the screen. We call this the virtual bar. Pretty cool, huh? Just roll your cursor over the drinks. Note the alcohol content. If you want one, just click on it. Then you can decide how fast you want to drink. Click sip, drink, or slam. The clock will start and you'll see how alcohol affects your blood alcohol concentration and you. The BAC readout in the upper left starts with your peak BAC and then begins to drop as the time of the party goes on. You'll also see how long it takes to process the alcohol out of your system. Hint, about a drink's worth an hour. Have as many drinks as you want, experiment, reset, and drink again. Try doing them quickly. In this bar, unlike life, you can get really drunk, do something you'll regret, and simply hit the reset button. Try pacing yourself, or mixing in non-alcohol drinks between alcohol beverages. Remember, this is a demonstration. Your actual BAC may be higher or lower, although since it's based on the weight and gender you entered at the start, it's probably in the ballpark. To see how the same amount of alcohol affects others of different weight or sex, like your date, click Friends. To find out how eating a meal before you drink affects your BAC, click Food. When you've had enough, click the button on the bottom right to head back to the party. You can return to the bar as often as you like. To get some info on drunk driving, just click the steering wheel at the bottom of the screen.